Think global warming is bad? You try being a fucking polar bear.
From the adaptation perspective, this is really a bullshit. That's what I can say right now.
When was the last time you slept?
I think I slept 3 days ago. I've been to the convention center for the last 2 days, just following up the negotiations. The negotiations being going on and on and on.
This agreement that's been reached here, which is an agreement to have an agreement, basically, has got no legal mandate, it's got no hooks in it to get the provision of resources from the north to the south. And not only that, it's got some horrible things in it, like response measures, which are backdoor for financing to the OPEC countries. It's got nothing to address insurance, multinational insurance fund that picks up the pieces, or a mechanism to deal with extreme loss and damage, which is the sort of stuff that's already in the Bali Action Plan from 2 years ago. And countries like Tuvalu, Maldives need assurance on that they can access them.
I've got an opportunity to be a part of the government delegation in Nepal, and Nepal is a part of the least developed countries.
The LDCs?
LDCs, and on behalf of the government of Nepal, I've got an opportunity to follow the issues and adaptation on the negotiation.
Personal issue for you too. It's
definitely, well, this is my personal issue, and this is issue of my hometown, my colleagues and my relatives. But I would not say only the case of Nepal. This is the issue of whole 100 countries which are really suffering from the impact of climate change, that they are not responsible.
It's an insight to follow the negotiations deeply in the inner track than just staying outside. So it gives you more information what's happening inside, what are the politics that's being played inside. So it gives you the dynamism that's happening in all this.
Recognition of the science hasn't filtered into the policy making. We're still in the position whereby the big emitters don't want to accept responsibility for the shit they've dumped into the atmosphere and continue to dump into the atmosphere. And developing countries themselves don't prioritise adaptation as an immediate policy need unless they're countries like the SIDS and LDCs, small island developing states like Tuvalu, who in a sense fight for adaptation but also fight for their lives by trying to get the shit out of the atmosphere with good emissions targets. On another side, the natural environment components of it, we fought for months to keep those in there. The issues of forests, ecosystems and water, and a whole range of things. They just got kicked out. Adaptation got 3 lines. That's all it got, and it became about governance and money. And most of that money that's being pledged is existing money, so about 30 billion, so over 10 billion over 3 years. Most of that is existing money that's already there, either in the World Bank Climate Investment Funds, or it's money that's already budgeted for. It doesn't go in any way through the authority guidance of the COP. And we had money pledged in 2001 on the adaptation agreement. That never turned up. So to be frank, I would say that Copenhagen was a complete fucking failure in terms of a global deal.
This year we saw the monsoons being delayed, and when the monsoons came, they came so heavily, and both these times the agricultural pattern was disturbed.
Yes.
And that means there is some food deficit already. We have to import food grains from our neighboring countries, from India or from China. So this might go bigger in the long run. So these things we are still scared of, and we don't have the response to act to this immediately, and this is what we are scared of, and this is what we like to urge developed parties to help us in, like something that secures our future and the people that live in the Himalayas and the plains of...
The money that's been put on the table is just piecemeal compared to what's needed. If you look at the World Bank figures, it talks about a minimum of 100 billion by 2020, and that's assuming a 2 degrees world. We're not on a pathway to 2 degrees world, we're on a pathway to 3 to 4.
That for most of the I would say the developed country, for them, adaptation is not a priority. My name is Sandeep Sampingrai. I am from Nepal, one of the mountainous and least developed country, but I work for Development International on adaptation policy, as an adaptation policy lead.
Nepal's economy is based on agriculture and as well as tourism, and Himalayas are one of the attractions to the world, not only for tourism perspective, but also they provide fresh water to people living upstream and downstream, So if this is hampered in the long term, if we don't have snowfall, if the glaciers start retreating, then that could create some problems in the hydrological flow of rivers that we
Well, and they already have.
We've already been seeing impacts. And I tell you, like, I've been working in the climate change energy program of Nepal. I've been to the Everest regions, and they are telling me, like, for the past 3 years, they have not seen snow falling at altitudes that are more than 300 meters above sea level.
Wow.
So the past 3 years, there's been no snow. And
My name is Kit Vaughan. I'm the head of adaptation in the UK. And I've had no sleep for 36 hours, and I've had probably 4 hours sleep every night for 2 weeks. So I'm going to say how it is. The world, one, doesn't recognise that it's actually experiencing climate impacts, and it's locked into really severe impacts, and if it doesn't get its shit together, it's going to have potentially catastrophic impacts for many parts of the globe.
You can't blame developed countries for everything, you know. Developing countries also have some responsibilities, you know, like you may say it is historical, it's just the blame game that you're trying to shift here and there, but like I personally see that it's one planet that we have to strive for it to be a living for our coming generations. So we can't shift the blame game, you know. It's time we do something. You have your development rights, that's one part of the agenda, but like on your stepping on the platform of your development rights, you can't just go and pollute as much as you want, because you know this is happening in the environment globally. These are our concerns. Why don't you take a step forward, you know, and be an example to the developed world? We've done this. Why don't you do it? We've taken a step forward. Please take 2 steps forward, and this will solve problems. You know, like you can't just go and ask and ask and ask and ask. This is what I see the drawbacks in the negotiations. You know, developing countries. This is my personal view. What I being a pink badger and seeing like it's extremes. You know, like people in developing countries, they're just going to the extremes of asking. You know, and me as being a least developed country, I don't want to ask that much from developed countries. Just give us what we need for implementing ground realities. That's enough for us. That's what I see.